The first thing I want us to do here is to talk about component inheritance. So I cannot ask you what is a component inheritance, but if I tell you that in Angular, indeed, when you're building component in Angular, you're just building classes, right? And Angular is all about OOP. I'm not a huge fan of object-oriented programming, but Angular is designed like that, and then you can leverage, which means that you can actually leverage that to do things. Okay, so let me make sure that I show you what it means. So I'm going to show you a quick scenario, and then we can talk about that a little bit further. Okay, so here I have inside my folder, I have my component inheritance. So I just put the demo folder right here. So as you can see here, this is a component, okay, and that component doesn't really do much. That's just the one we're going to use to display the data here. So let me make sure that I have I can see your questions popping in here. So now let me go back here quickly. So here what I'm going to do is just show you the fact that when you build a component, let's say component A, let's call that, let's make it much more simple. So okay, component A component. I have some hard time to type here, but that should be fine. Okay, so this is a component, and the thing that makes it actually, before saying it's a component, is just a class. That's what I mentioned before. And as you can see, that class here has it has nothing really. So if you, for example, want to say, let's say this one is a parent, and then you're going to have here a child, right? So what is the link between a parent and a child? Somehow the child will probably have the same family name as the parent, right? So the way you can express that, so let me make sure that you can all see what I'm typing. The way you can express that, you can say the child extend the parent, right? You can say that, which means that here, if I say a parent has a family name, okay, let's say here, let's say Davy, okay, so that's my name. You're welcome. Good to meet you all. So if you do so, then automatically right below you can just say, I want to have access to a family name. As you can see, it is available. So now let's say that this information here, you actually wanted to have, put it as a component, okay? So let me add a component here. So now here I can just say I need a selector, and that selector will probably be a parent, and this is component with capital C, and then this is our parent, and then below here I can now say this is also a selector as a child right here. And since this is a component, I can give it a template, right? So here I'm going to do that, and what you're going to have, you just say I want to show here just a family name, for example. Okay, so that's a very basic example. Let me just fix something quickly here in the TS length, because it's kind of bothering me. So let me make sure that the single, okay, Yes, okay, much better. So let's go back to this. So if I do so, if I build my component like this, now I can, for example, say, well, this child here, so this child over here has already all the properties. So if I want to go here and then say, I'm going to add a template, and within that template, I want to display the child name. So the child is going to have the family name plus the information about his own information, his own first name, for example. So it's going to have a first name, okay? So let's say here first name is Eric, for example. And then right below, now I can say like, I want to show in this template, I want to show the full name, right? So what I will do here, you can either create a property full name, then you compose that. So I can say here, full name is going to be, I just say get here and then say full name is going to be, let me do that. Yeah, so it should just return first name and then plus this dot family name, okay? Because I have access to that, so I can basically add that. I can basically add that over here. So that will definitely do the job. And then over here, what I can do, I can just say I'm going to show the full name, okay? Right. So now if I go inside my application, so what I need to do, since I created those two modules, so I just need to export them right here. There's these two components, okay? So what I need to do right now is just go inside the module declaration and make sure that these components are declared over here. So the first one is the parent, which is parent, and the second one is the child, and the child is right here. And then obviously I want to do that manually, so I'm gonna go over here and then say the parent comes from here, so is the child, okay? So if I go inside my app, let me show you what is happening here. I just need to display that information right now. So let me go back over here. Slow down. Yeah, okay. So I feel like I'm coding at home alone, but I actually have a lot of people watching at this stage. So thanks people for tuning in. So what I need to do here is just to go inside my demo component and now go and say, I want to show the child, so app child component. Okay, so if I do so, I should now see the name here, Eric Davy. So I see the name appearing in my code. So what I'm showing you right here, it's just the fact that I was able to implement some features in the parent, and then the child actually inherited from that. But that was actually a very simple example. Now, think about a more complex example where you're going to have here a list of two components that display the same kind of information and that have the same kind of behavior, for example. Okay, so those two components, for example, you want to list a list of books, and then you want to create a possibility to select one of the book, but that features here it's part of the books features, okay? But then you have different way to display the books. You have different component, different pages where you want to display the books. So instead of re-implementing the behavior in each book, what you could do, you can actually have that base class and then you start building the features in there. So for example, here you're going to have, let me quickly rename this and say this one here. Okay, the linter is still bugging me, so let me make sure that this is on a double, single. I don't get why the linter is bugging me here. Yes, so this is pretty good. Everything looks pretty okay. Yeah, okay. Hopefully that doesn't bug you too much. Okay, so if you have any question, just ask, and I will be able to install. For people who have issue running, yeah, okay. Okay, so I was just reading your questions here, so let me quickly continue here. So this example is quite simple, but what I'm trying to show, I'm trying to explain is the fact that you can use that inheritance to be able to communicate between multiple components. So one of the example here is it's, for example, you want to say, I want to create a component that is, so it's just a class here that I'm going to create. And that component, I call it a base component. So for those who do actually OOP, this is a great thing, right? You're gonna love this kind of thing. So here you can have, you can also add a service. So let me create an injectable, and let me provide that at the root level. And what I want to do here is just to say, let me create an export a class that is, let's say, courses service. Okay, so that's one of the thing. And what you want to do, for example, is to say, I want to be able to get books, okay, or get courses in our case here. Okay, and then what you want to do is this base component, which is the one you're going to share through every single view. What you do with it, you just say, I'm going to add that constructor and then create CS here, and then just call that course service. And now this thing has what you need. Okay, okay. So it has the simple behavior. Technically here, you can just say, I don't really care about this base component, because you actually don't care about it. The point is, you're not gonna use it to display the template, because one of the things you need to know is the template, it is not needed. The template isn't inherited. You have a few more things that are not inherited, but most of the things you put inside the class that are public will be inherited. It's just as you will do in a normal OOP programming language, okay? So, and then here I will say, I want to have a function that's gonna make the books available. I always say books, but I meant courses here. So, and then this one will just say this.cs get courses, okay? So that's one thing, and then you will, for example, say here get selected courses, okay? So what you're trying to do here, and you just have an ID, which is a number, for example, and then that ID here we just say, based on that, let me just say the selected courses is it is just let's say it's an object, okay, for in our case. So what you just want to do is say, okay, I'm gonna call a function inside here that says select course, and that expect an ID, which is a number. So I'm inside the service, and that you're going to return something, okay, that we don't really care here. So the point there is to say, now that I have this, I can just say this return cs dot select courses, right? So this one's going to return something of type yeah, that's a very good question. That if the component is not really used, should we need to declare a component there? The thing that I had with that is just it didn't really compile, right? So that didn't really work. But there you can actually just extend a non-component. That is one thing. But there are other things you will be able to get. For example, if that's a good question, Chandan here. So just to quickly finish on this one return what, aren't you happy? It's not happy because you expect that ID. Okay. So, but look, now there is something you can do with a component, right? So, for example, instead of saying get selected courses here, I can have a way to say I'm gonna add here a host, so host binding here, and I will be able to, for example, say on the click, for example, I can implement that here using a host binding or all these host kind of things. But by doing so, suddenly these features here will be inherited. But if it's not a component in Angular, then you can't really inherit from this. Okay, so that's basically one of the thing. I have to be honest with you. This is something that I don't recommend to use, but that can come really handy because the same features that I'm showing you here, you can implement that using using dependency injection and these kind of things. But by building this base component here, you can now go ahead and then say this parent, for example, extend this parent, for example, extend that base component, and then you can keep on building this kind of thing here. So, and the parents now is gonna inherit from everything but the template and a few more properties, so you can start building more robust component using this methodology. So I put it right here because it is part of what Angular offers you, right? Do I use that? No, I don't. But it is something you can use as a way to make your component work really well. I have an article that I'm gonna share with you. You can just go ahead and check that out. That article actually covers the pros and the cons of doing that. But let me put it simply: the pros and cons are the same for do you really want to do inheritance versus dependency injection, like inheritance versus composition, right? So that's the same question you're gonna have again and again. Okay, so so let me quickly move away from that, and I'm going to go on. Oh yeah, okay. I need to quickly stash that. Is there any question? Nope. Okay. Let me stash this. Stash here. Okay. So if we go back here. So there is this idea of building dynamic component. Why would you need dynamic component? So you're building an application and then you don't really have control over, or you want, for example, to show a model, right? Or what you want to do, you want to make sure that people can actually give inject behavior in real time in your application. So the question there is, what is a dynamic component and what is a static component? It's super simple. when in English, like a full English, you understand what it means, right? Static, it's there. When the app starts, it's right there. You declare that and it's there. Dynamic, it will be added when needed, right? So how do you see that in an Angular application? It's pretty simple. So let me go here and open dynamic component. So I will go here and I have my demo here. So the demo, you can see that I have a few components. So I have my demo component and some things right here. So a template and my selector. But what I want you to see is inside the module, the way you know which one is dynamic versus which one is static, it's basically right below. So when you build dynamic component, I mean static component first, you're going to declare them here, and that's also where you declare pipes and all these kind of things, directives as well. But then if your component is dynamic, you're gonna have to declare it, okay? But then use this entry component to basically tell the Angular that this thing's gonna be dynamic and I'm gonna build that over time, like when needed. Okay, so then what really happened when your application starts? Let me make sure that this one is next to it. So when your application starts, you go in the app, you see there is actually really nothing happening. It just says yeah, that's a normal error, so no worries here for the errors. You say I'm a P, so what is that? Let's go back inside our component. So what we see here, you see the template as all of this. But in the app, we only see these information right here, okay? So what you need to understand here is the fact that inside the template, we're using something called ng container. Okay? So with that ng container, whatever you put in there, it's kind of not rendered. It doesn't show on the screen. Okay? There is nothing until, so it's kind of a placeholder that you're putting on your page, and then you say, this thing's gonna be dynamically added. Okay, so that's the main thing. So you can use that ng container as a way to put that placeholder, or you can use ng template. Okay, and then obviously, as you can see, there are many ways to go about it. So, and then inside in your code, you have a way to basically query them. So the paragraph, the first that part right here, I'm going to dynamically display things in there. So what you do in your, whoa, okay, something breaks, something completely, okay, I kind of lost all of you. Okay, just a second, because it seems like something right. Oh. Okay. Are you okay? I think you're still there, so I can see you, all of you. So yeah, okay. I had the feeling that things were actually stop working. So let me make sure that I should be able to see your comment, but I lost it. So wow. Okay, give me just a second, and I make sure that I get you back. Where is it? Okay, never mind. I will just make sure that I can answer your question because I lost track of. Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah, we're still here. Okay, very good. I just lost the panel control where I can see your question, but that's not a big deal. So what we're doing here is we're going to dynamically add those elements inside our application. Okay, so the way we do it. So let me quickly get a snippet of code so we don't do it entirely here. So let me get that. It's pretty okay. I got my YouTube control back. Okay, very good. So what you want to do here, we're just gonna create a kind of view. So I'm gonna dynamically add that thing inside the code. So I'm creating a view, and I would just say this view will be the I'm going to take this paragraph here, okay, and build. So let me go back here. So the paragraph is this one, okay. So I'm taking a reference from it, and the way you do so is just by adding this view child on top of the thing. So you have a paragraph here. So I injected a view child container ref, okay. So and here I need to now go and say I need a view child, okay. So what I want to do with that is I go here and then I say I'm going to use that view child, and I'm going to take that paragraph, okay. So that's basically the first step. Now I have a handle on this paragraph, which is the content that I'm gonna dynamically add at this place here. So now what I'm going to do is to be able to add, let me go here, to be able to add now dynamically that paragraph inside my application, okay? So what I do here, I just say I'm going to add the template ref and say I'm going to create. So let me make sure that this is completely correct. So I'm going to create a new view, okay. And now what I'm going to do, I will take the space here. So that VC that you see right here, I'm going to take it and say this VC, and then I'm going to create that component. So insert that component right here, okay. So what is that VC here? Once again, it comes from this thing. So I mentioned that you should see it as a placeholder, okay. So now that we have we have a hold on this, we have this. I think we're probably missing the a way to get that part. So I will just go right here and make sure that we have the view child for the paragraph, but I'm using right below a way to create the template, and I'm using this template render here, but I don't have a handle on this. So I go here and I'm just going to say view child. That's a way you go and read again that VC information from your template, and then the reference will be passed to this. Now that I have a handle on this, I can just go ahead and create that view, okay. So if I go back in my app, I have a small error. So let's see what we have. Yeah, it says cannot be null. So yeah, so that what we have here. Yeah, okay, I see the error. So we're saying here we have, okay, yeah, okay, let's fix that quickly. So we have our template renders that we take with this, and this represent that element. That's correct. And then we take a reference from it here, and then we create our view and we pass it right here. So then we said created embedded view. So we should be quite okay with that. So make sure that this is correct. Yeah. Yeah, okay. This looks pretty okay. So what are we missing? What are we missing here for this thing to work? We have a view container because that's a container that we have here. Okay. The assigned value for VC is yeah, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, okay, so let's do something really simple here. Debugging time. So I have the after view init, which you should actually use to be able to access the view as it renders. So I can go here and then say ng after view init. Where is it? It's here, so it should help me with that. So where was I typing? Right below. Okay, ng. Okay, so oh wow. Okay, we lost everything. What is happening? This is correct. View child. Okay, so we have that. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I have an ng after view init right below. So and then I should be able to see that when I load the element, it should be able to show. So let's go back here. What I did here was basically to say I'm going to create a view, and that view is we use that that view is using the template, the VC container that we created before. So it's here. So the template rendered. So that's the one that I use right here. And then this one I use to create a view. So I don't need a context right here. And now I'm just going to say that view container, which is right here. Oh yeah, okay. I see now my little mistake, because I was basically saying I'm using a view container, but I didn't really instantiate that. So I'm taking a reference to the VC container here. I was taking a reference from that and not this one, which was basically my main issue. So when I go back here, now I can say this VC, and what I want to do with that, what is it? This is correct. Yeah, so it's a view container. Yeah, that's correct. I'm just taking your question or suggestion. Okay. So what is wrong here? Yeah, okay. So that is correct. And the other one that we have here, so we have actually 3 of them. So the way you go and get them is saying I'm gonna get this, and then over here we're going to have our yes, indeed. So we have this one as well. So yeah, I'm just the error that I'm making is this one. So this one is good, and then over here I need this. So that's the name for this, that's the name for this, and this one was also pretty okay. Now what am I missing? I don't see what I'm missing. That feels, let me do this. Yeah, so what was wrong here? So I have those 1, 2, and 3, and I'm just taking a reference to them here, 1, 2, 3, but I still need a reference to the paragraph that I lost, and I don't know what happened, but I lost the reference to the paragraph. So let me make sure that it is there. So once I have that, now I should be good. And now here what I need to do is just to say I'm going to insert that view over here. Okay, so once you do that, I should be able to go here, and now you see that the error is gone because I was missing the thing. So thank you for your push there. So I as you can see, I took, you see that line here. So let me just zoom a little bit more. So when the app started, here is my template. I have this thing showing, okay, and then I took this ng container, which is just a placeholder, okay. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to add the data in there. So what I do is just say, let me take a reference from the, okay, that's actually this one that I render, so probably not this one. So I create the view based on this one, and then I insert that inside my view dynamically, okay? So that is one way of doing it. Now you're going to have another way of doing it where you use the factory. So factory is a little bit more complicated. So let me quickly explain. I will show you what I put it here, and then I explain quickly. So what we're doing here is just saying, like, I have a component factory resolver. So that's another way to add dynamic component in your page. And then you're basically saying that I want to create a component based on this. So you have this link component that I need to inject right here. Okay. So now that I have a hold on the factory component, what I need to do is to say, now this component, create that component by using this injector. So the injector comes from here, okay? And then I just say, okay, I want to, I'm gonna take my my component ref. Component ref is simply the when you create that component, it gives you a component ref. And now you will say, from that component ref, I'm just gonna create a host view, and it's that host view that you use to basically insert it dynamically right here. Okay, so once you do that, if I go back here and save, you see that now I have my link component that is showing. Okay, so I dynamically add that component. So in terms of component design, you can still apply all the rules that you know about building component and make it available to your application dynamically to be used. Okay, so in Angular, there is something you need to know. It's the fact that whatever you can do by code, mostly you should be able to do that by just using a template, okay? So then the next step in this exercise is basically to build all of this that we did right here with only ng template outlet and ng component outlet. That's an exercise for you. Just do it on your own and then send that my way, and I'll be able to help you out if you have any questions. So that is basically a dynamic component design. But hey, by the way, I just want to make sure that you see this and you understand that if we don't have this part, so inside the entry component, if I remove this entry component, the link component as an entry component, this just fail. That thing won't work. So it's important to understand once again that if it's a dynamic component, we're using it in our code over here. So that's where we're injecting it right here. So if it's a dynamic component, go ahead and inject that here as an entry component, okay? So that's done. now we're gonna move to the last part of our section that I wanted to cover today. So let me make sure that I bring back this entry component, and I can actually, I would just send the entire repo your way once we're done here. Okay. So now this is the, yeah, we still have a few minutes. So I'm gonna go quickly on to something a bit more advanced here. So you see this? This is actually where I want us to go, and I want to make sure that you see this part. So I know we are a bit late on the thing, so stay with me for another 15 minutes, and I'm gonna show you something really cool about this. And you can continue the exercise at home, and then just do it on your time. So let me take this example. What do we have here? We have the concept of compound component. So something that I put in the description, I mentioned the fact that, hey, we're going to talk about translution and ng content in Angular, right? Transition is for the people that were doing AngularJS. And so we're going to talk about this concept here. So let me show you this. When you see this application right here, how do you think it is designed? What do you think is the design right behind that? So let me open Augury and then show you the way it is designed. So we have this chat component, okay? So here below are the three components that you're gonna be rebuilding right here. So look at this. I have the chat message, chat input, and chat button that are part of this component, okay? So if we go inside this chat app, I'm just gonna open the component. You can see them right here, okay? So, okay. So now, what you have here is the fact that this component, when you use it inside your application, you're going to have an app chat component. But inside that app chat, you have 1, 2, and 3, and 4 components that are used. Okay. So now for people that use your application, so if I go here, let me make sure that we can actually move this entire thing right below, because so this is the way people will be using your application. So that what they just do, they just say app chat, and there we go. If you go in the app, you start typing learn Angular, you add here, you see that it's actually adding stuff here. Learn TypeScript. Okay, so it's kind of working here. Okay, so what we're doing is the fact that doesn't matter the version here, the concept. I see Angular version 6, but that doesn't matter. The concept still apply till Angular 9 today. So the point I'm trying to show you right here is the fact that the way we design this component, we make it completely unusable by other people outside. We're just giving them the component, and there is no API behind that. So one of the first improvement that we can do is to go from this to this. Okay, so let me remove this part, and we can just focus on this part there. So as we go, we're going to shape that API. So we went from app chat. Okay, we went from this. Okay, no, I don't need that. We went from this to this. Okay, so how can you design this right below? So the first thing you can see here is the fact that when I run this app and I go back in my app, nothing happened. Nothing at all. Okay? But these components do exist. Okay? So what will be the first thing you need to do here to make it work? The first thing you need to do is actually to go inside your app, this component, and then you have that title, and you're going to use something called ng content. Okay? So by using ng content, you actually now things are showing on the screen, okay? But things are broken. So, because what we just did, we took all the components that were inside app and then we just moved them right below. So now let's make sure that our application is still working after we build the we build this component. So let me quickly get so then we don't spend too much time here on this. So what we need to do, we're going to do that quite quickly, but this one actually, it is important for you to see that the concept that you're going to learn right here they could be quite advanced for some people, and for those who actually went through that, to be like, okay, I know that thing. But bear with me, if you haven't seen that or if you haven't used that in your app, this is something I use a lot and I love this pattern a lot. So now, the way you do this, you want now this thing to work because it's not working. We can click here and nothing is happening. So what we want to do is first to take a reference of each of these components, each of them. So what you do here, you just create, you're going to have inside this, you're going to first add content child, right? Content child. See this? Content child. Okay? So once we have that, we can now come right below and say, let's add that content child. And we're going to say, like, we want to, which content, which child we want to bring. Well, the message one. So the message one is chat message content. Okay? So chat message content. Okay, so that's the one the one we want to have here. So I will just say that this one is of type chat message content. Okay, so that's the first step, and you want to do the same thing for the other two. So instead of just typing it, I'm just gonna put it right here. So then you see that we need to import this component and we need to import this component. Okay, so now as you can see, we were able to bring our so this one here and this one over here. So we have the three components that are the children of the app chat final. Okay, so now that you have access to them, now you can start doing some great stuff. But since you use content child, the first thing you need to do to access those components is to implement after view, after content in it, okay? Because it's content, okay? So now you can go here and then say ng after content in it, and we're going to put our logic of right there. So the first thing you want to do is just to say, okay, how can I get the message? How can I get the current message? Where do you get that message? Actually, you get the message from the input. So you should be able to just say like this input here dot value should be equal to this dot the current message. So I'm passing now the data from here, and I'm passing that to the child component. Okay, that's the first thing. And now we have access to the button, right? Like now we see that there is nothing here, and if I had started with hello world, we should be able to see that it should show hello world over here. So I'm passing the message, okay? So now the next step here is to say, like, how can we make sure that when I click on this button, I'm updating this information, right? So the way you do that, you just say, I'm going to take this button, and this button actually is we get our component, and it has a function click. So if I go here, I see it has a function click, and that function is an event emitter, which means that here you can actually subscribe to it. So if you subscribe to it, technically you don't really care about what comes from this, because it's just a button. But now that you have access to it, what you could now do is something really simple. Let me take that here for you, and then I will explain that instead of typing it entirely. Okay. So what we have here, this one is the message. Where is it? Is the chat message component. Okay. Let me put it here. So we're almost there. I'm just gonna share this code with you, and we gonna explain that to all of you. So let's take this, and this one is the one that goes here. So what did we do here? I took that that click. It's an event emitter. I subscribe to it, and then I'm just checking that if there is a message, let's add that message in the list of messages. That's it. And then I clear out the message. That's it. If there is a message, and then I update the input here with the current message, and I update the list of messages that need to be displayed by the chat message content. Okay, that's basically it. And then here I subscribe to the message change. So message change here, if you go back here, it is the input. It's an event emitter, and it's going to emit here, and that's what I'm subscribing to. And then by doing so, I'm passing it the value that was emitted, and now I can update this thing. Yeah, don't forget to unsubscribe. Don't forget to unsubscribe from them. But if we just go here now, I see my initial message, and if I add, it just goes and says learn Angular. Okay, learn. Okay, it doesn't update that because I force it. Why doesn't do it? Where do we do that? Yeah. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So if we go back here, indeed, say Angular. Okay, it doesn't clean up. Why it doesn't clean that up? Because when I click this one, subscribe to it. Okay, and we should be. Oh yeah, okay. That cleans that up over here, but it doesn't do it. And then, for example, TypeScript. Okay, so yeah, that just a little bit of code to read again. But let's do this. I really want to go back to this. So you see, we have these. Now we have encapsulated. We create a different API where we pass the way you want to display messages to you give that to the people that actually use the component, right? So this thing here, the trick behind that, you have two things. The first one is the fact that you're using ng content. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is the fact that you getting the data from you're getting the data by just using content child. And if you have multiple content showing on the thing, you can also use content children, which is another way of actually getting data, a list of child component, and then start reading data from that. Okay, so I think this is already okay. I'm way above the time limit, but I still have something to show. I still have something to show you here. So here, don't forget to unsubscribe. Don't forget to unsubscribe here, and that kind of work. So the next step in our implementation is basically to say that okay, I quickly explain how to use the multiple thing here, so I can put it back. But one of the things that I want to quickly show you is this thing. And then we're done. So give me 2 minutes and then we're done. So we have that chat final DI, okay? So it's gonna receive messages, input, and then you see all these things. So it's the same behavior. So if I go here, if I go in my app and refresh, I shouldn't see anything but like a small thing that I forgot to remove, but that's not a big deal here. So how do you fix that thing here? Once again, you just go here and then you say, I'm just gonna add ng content. Okay, same thing. And then we go back and then we should be able to see some messages now. Now, the only thing you need to do here, you can do it actually the other way around. In this case, in this previous case, the parent took a reference from his children, okay? Now, in this case here, you can go the other way around by saying the children going to receive a reference to their parent, okay? So the parent could be the one passing messages between. So it becomes the one that you use to pass, to communicate between all the children, okay? So the way you do that, you go inside that children and then you say, I'm going to add, so let me go here and then let's make sure that I have that. So the way you do so, you just say, I'm going to add here a chat, and this one is the chat final component. So I just injected that thing. The first time I saw it, it blew my mind away, but you can inject the final component, so the parent, and now suddenly you have access to the behavior here, right? So, and you can move you can have access to whatever the parent has to offer as API. See, the parent now has access to the children, and you can pass data back and forth. I'm gonna stop here because we're way above of time, and I can see like people have questions. So if I'm just gonna finish this offline and then send you the code. Let's have a questions here. Can we use it without subscribe approach? Subscribe in the code seems to be code smell, as I know. Yeah, Marek just asked a good question. Ask a good question here. So, so it was on this. Let me get that again. Chat final component. So yeah, this here. It depends how you want to do it. It is a little bit difficult to do it without subscribing here, but I'm gonna show you. I can give you an example of how you can do it without subscribing. I know. Subscribing, when you see subscribe in your code, you should be like, oh, that is a code smell. That's a good thing. So let me think for a second. Yeah. you could definitely do that without subscribing here. It will still be difficult though, because now it's just a matter of like communicating between components. What you could indeed do, you can use NGRX, so something outside. So at this stage, technically, if you start using things like NGRX, the coupling of the component, this entire thing could become not necessary really, right? Because at the end of the day, you have this external store, so you can update things there, and whoever needs the information can use that. Okay, but yeah, that will be the way for me to do it without subscribing. Niels has a question. Niels says, aren't you hard coupling a component in this approach? Yes, I am. I am, because the whole story here is the fact that you have components that are actually hard coupled. Okay, so for example, have you ever built a tab system? So you're going to have a container and then tab inside. There is no way tabs individually are actually, they're nothing individually. They need to be part of this tab system. Okay, this is a good way of building a tab system, for example. But once again, those components are tightly coupled. That's the way it's designed right now, is to say, well, there is no chat without a button. There is no chat without a message. But on the other hand, you also, by writing it this way, where is it? Let me just quickly get, yeah. By writing it this way, you're also giving a little bit more flexibility in terms of how the components are designed individually. But yeah, that's my take there. Referring to Neil's comment, it seems that we need to define some interfaces to make the chat final generic. Not sure that I understood, Riza. Can you probably explain a bit more? Okay, where did we assign value to VC? So that's okay. Answer that. We could indeed make the like we have a chat message interface. Okay. So Reza is saying that yeah, maybe to have a chat message interface. Yeah, you could. Here I'm just showing you three different ways that you will use ng content child, and the possibility to inject a component inside another component to be able to share behaviors. Okay, so I cover a few things here, but indeed the idea here is fundamentally the idea is to make sure that you see a range of ways you can actually build your component. Okay, but yeah, having an interface might work. Then anyone can have its own chat message component just by implementing the interface. Yeah, but Reza, the point there is indeed what you're saying is Angular is an object-oriented focus framework, so that will definitely help by having an interface right here. Okay, people, sorry that it was a bit slow to start, and yeah, I apologize there, but here is the thing. You're going to have the final code on the GitHub repo in a few minutes, and you can just play with it. And then you have yeah, you can ask me questions in the repo if you want. And moreover, the the point there is like this is just, I had to go really quick because it's just an hour, but this is actually a training that we do where you spend a whole day building component and playing with different ways of building component. So we cover just content child, but you have so many other options in terms of how you interact with content, like view child, content child, and how do you dynamically create them or destroy them? How you can, for example, say, I'm gonna add something on my page. For example, here, if I take this version that we built over here, you can, for example, say, I want to have, yeah, let me just remove that. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, final one, it's here. Yeah, okay, let me just make sure that I'm not breaking anything right here. Maybe you have more questions, I can answer them. So what is that final chat? So just wanted to show you, like, for example, when you say final app here, and then let me remove that part and that part for this. So in this part here, for example, we have, if I now go in the app and then go to advanced pattern, okay, I broke something, but I wanted to show you how ng content let you do some crazy nice stuff. Let me go back in here quickly and then remove the what's the name of that component? Demo component. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna show you that in the final video, but yeah, the point there is like you have a lot of flexibility in terms of building component, and yeah, there is plenty of technique there. So thanks for watching, and we make sure that we gonna share this content with you as once we're done today. And if you have more questions, feel free to answer them. Feel free to ask them on the channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you go on community.hackages.io, you will be able to see these online advanced Angular training. It's basically 2 days where we spend time coding like this. I mean, I will be able to see you, obviously, and then you'll be able to ask questions in real time, and I will be able to answer them. You will also be able to build this app in different version and make it work end to end. And one of the things that I have here is the fact that we cover all these points during the session. So if you want to know how to build a really advanced Angular component, this is a nice place to go. But the webinar today, I will put it online and make sure that the flow is good, and you can check that out later. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and peace.